Hi everyone, this is Angie again from MarriedToTheRoad.com, and I cannot sleep tonight. This is like one of the worst parts of the job is Larry drives the early morning shift. He usually starts driving about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and he'll get done around noon, and then I start driving, and then by the time I get back to the yard, it's just like with any job, you just can't immediately go to sleep. You just have to like wind down. And right now my mind's like going a million miles an hour, so I can't sleep. So I thought, what the heck, I'll do a video. So this is going to be just a video on the top 15 things that I've learned throughout my driving career. And I got this idea actually from another female trucker who did her own list. So I have a cheat sheet, so just bear with me. So the first one is the most obvious, that it's really hard to miss your friends and family when you're on the road. I knew when I got into trucking that I would see my kids and my grandkids a lot less than I used to. I used to have a 9-to-5 job, and I was able to see the kids, you know, on nights and weekends, and I was able to do more things. But now, you know, with us having less than 48 hours off sometimes, it's really hard because during that time we have to try to catch up on sleep, buy supplies for the truck, and then get repacked, wash everything, and back on the road. So that's the hardest thing. I think the second hardest thing is you lose contact with a lot of your friends. Most of your friends work throughout the day, and so you don't really have anybody you can talk to on the phone to keep you awake, to keep you busy. A lot of times, excuse me, I used to be that I would drive the daytime shift, and all my friends worked during the daytime, so I wouldn't have anybody that I could call and say, hey, can you keep me awake while I'm driving? Or I'm really bored, I don't have anything to watch on Netflix or Hulu, or I don't have a podcast to listen to, and I really wanted somebody to talk to. And a lot of your friends and family are just too busy. They are busy with their daily lives, and so you lose contact with a lot of people. I think it's the worst part of trucking. I almost wish that I had like a trucker's, you know, phone tree where if you know, you got bored, you can call another trucker to talk to, because I think that's the hardest part. It gets very lonely out here on the road. Even though Larry and I are team drivers, it still gets very lonely because, you know, we don't see each other. Like, I'll drive for, you know, it depends on our route, but I could drive anywhere from 8 to 11 hours throughout the day. During that time, I may only see him one time. And so that's 8 or 11 hours that you're by yourself. You have nobody to talk to. So the biggest thing that we do is we tend to educate ourselves a lot. We'll listen to a lot of podcasts. We'll listen to a lot of news. We'll listen to TV shows and movies, just kind of have it playing in the background. So that's probably the biggest thing. Number 2, our own bed. I cannot tell you how much we miss some of the common comforts that people take for granted. We live in a 10x10 truck. It's very tiny, especially when you have 2 dogs running underneath your feet. And we have an oversized twin bed that the 2 of us share when we do get a chance to sleep together. Otherwise, it's just us in the bed alone. So you do miss the creature comforts like your shower at your own home, and your bed, and just your home in general. So that's probably one of my other big ones. Home cooked meals. Oh my gosh, I wish I could take my mom out on the road with me because she's like the best cook in the world. But when I get home on the weekends, sometimes all I want to do is cook. But a lot of times we're so tired on the weekends that we tend to just go out to eat because it's so much easier. But home cooked meals are the biggest thing because there's not very many trucks, at least that we've found, that offer, you know, good home cooked meals and something that's nutritious. So home cooked meals, definitely miss it. Mom, if I could take you on the road, I would. Bathrooms. Oh my gosh, I miss having a private bathroom like you have no idea. As I said in my last video, you know, I have to go into the truck stop usually every 4 or 5 hours to go to the bathroom and, you know, brush my teeth, and I have to do that in public, and all your personal hygiene's in public, unless you purchase a shower, and then you have some privacy. So I definitely miss having my own private bathroom. I always tell Larry, I wish we had our own private bathroom on this truck. You know, a lot of truckers are very lucky and they purchase their own truck and they get to like customize their trucks, and so some of them do have bathrooms, and we'll see them going down the highway. I'm so jealous. I would love to have a bathroom and a shower in our truck. That would be amazing. Then we would never have to leave. And just think about it, you know, we get so much more driving done. Okay, the other one is privacy. So it's like you don't get a lot of privacy. because even when you're parked like in truck stops or rest areas, or like right now we're parked in the FedEx yard, you know, people can see everything that I'm doing in this truck. Like right now I'm doing a video. So right behind me you'll see that I have my curtains up because I really don't want people staring at me while I'm making a video. So not a lot of privacy out here on the road. So that's another issue. Loneliness, I kind of talked about that when I was talking about the first one. But loneliness is a big key. If it wasn't for, I have a few people that I talk to on a regular basis. You know, my best friend Lisa, who, thank God, she calls me usually, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, and that really helps because it gets so lonely out here not being able to have human contact and talk with someone. The other person's my daughter Tori. God bless her. She calls me usually at least once a day, if not twice a day, and that helps. So, you know, if you have a family member that is a trucker or somebody in your family, give them a call because they will appreciate it, because it gets very, very lonely out here. You know, sometimes I wonder, you know, do I even know how to interact or talk with humans anymore, because I'm so used to being by myself and just, you know, listening to podcasts and listening to the TV, and it's just like sometimes it's hard. It gets very, very, very lonely out here. And I know sometimes Larry and I feel like we're so disconnected because we don't get to see our friends as often, we don't get to talk to them, don't get to see our family members as often, so it can be a very lonely job. As a matter of fact, on a lot of our Facebook groups that have to do with trucking, I think that's one of the #1 issues with truckers is they get very, very depressed because we have a very demanding job. I mean, we can work anywhere from 18 to 14 hours, 8 to 14 hours a day. And then you add loneliness on top of that, and depression is a huge factor when it comes to trucking. So if you have a trucker in your life, make sure you keep in contact with them, because just talking to you on the phone will lift their spirits. And driving gets very, very boring. So talking with someone makes the driving go much faster. So give them a call. You know, a couple times a week, it, you know, really perks them up. The other thing is exercise. As most people know, a couple years ago, shortly before I got divorced, I had gained quite a bit of weight. I was up to about 370 pounds, and I had decided to get gastric bypass surgery. That was huge, and during that process, you know, it was great because I got to exercise a lot. But once I started this truck driving job, you know, that was one of my biggest concerns was, am I going to be able to get out here and get enough exercise? And the honest God answer is no. Because we do so much truck driving, it's very, very hard to get a lot of exercise in. However, the good news is we have a new route now, which gives us a lot more flexibility and a lot more downtime. So Larry and I are really going to be pushing exercising more, especially at the rest areas. And when we get here to the FedEx yard, we like to walk the dogs around the yard just to get some extra walking in. And then the other thing is we're really going to be upping our meal prepping. And I'm going to be posting some videos on that starting this weekend on some meal prepping ideas and what we do, because a lot of times, like we've said in the past, there's not a lot of healthy options out here on the road. The biggest thing is Subway. Subway's great, but it gets really, really boring after a while. And expensive, because I mean, at the average sub, that Subway can be anywhere from $6 to $8. You know, you average that times 2 people throughout a week, that's really expensive. So I'll be doing some meal prepping videos to share with you as well. Keeping the romance alive. This is a hard one. You know, Larry and I, yeah, we're married, but we tend to be in work mode. About Monday night, say 10, 11 o'clock, when we get ready to leave our house to come up here to Champaign, you know, from that moment on, we're in work mode because we're packing, we're getting the truck packed, we're getting the dogs in. Then we have to drive 2.5 hours to get to the FedEx yard. Then we have to unpack our truck. And so pretty much from the moment we get here until the moment we leave on Saturday night, we're kind of in work mode. And work mode means, you know, go, 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 go. What do we have to do? You know, we have to meet with someone every day to transfer our trailers. And so it's really hard to remember to keep the romance alive, and that we're not just partners and teammates, but we're also husband and wife. But one of the biggest things I think that's really helped us is, you know, it gives you a lot of time to talk and get to know each other and just reminisce, and I think that helps a lot. But keeping the romance alive is a tricky one. And if you're a truck driver and you're a truck driving couple and you have tips, let me know in the comments, because we'd love to hear them. Okay, let's see. So the daily dose of mortality. So I didn't really realize until we got into trucking, how many trucking accidents we see. We see more trucking accidents than we see car accidents by far. And so it seems like almost on a daily basis, you get your sense of mortality. You know, for example, yesterday we drove by an accident, and I actually posted a video on our Facebook page, and it was of a truck that caught fire, and in the back of his trailer he had a bunch of paint cans. Luckily he was fine. He got the fire out early enough, and he was standing by the truck when we drove by, so he was fine. However, today as I was driving back to Champaign on Highway 57, they had I don't remember which way it was, but anyway, Highway 57, it was closed in the opposite direction. It was closed for about 10 miles, and that was due to a fatality. And that was a semi-truck that had caught fire. So, you know, it's hard to drive by those scenes and, one, not cry, because you're thinking about that person's family at home and them being notified that they have just died. And it's hard, you know, it just gives you, Larry and I always say how much we appreciate that we're still here and that we're still alive, because the chances are, especially when you're team driving, the chances of Larry and I dying in an accident is so much higher, you know, and our kids could lose both parents in the blink of an eye. So we definitely take safety, you know, it's our absolute highest priority. We try to be as safe as possible because we want to get home to our kids and our grandkids. That's the most important thing. But, you know, you need to be prepared that when you're going to be driving out here, you do get a daily dose of mortality. You see some very horrific accidents, and sometimes it's really hard and kind of takes your breath away. So that's probably one of the hardest parts of truck driving. The one thing I do like is the camaraderie with other women. So it doesn't matter where I go. We could be driving down the highway, and if I see another female trucker, you know, it's just, I don't know what it is. You know, it's just a high five, wave at each other. Same thing when you go into a truck stop. You know, women just tend to, you know, really, I don't know, we just seem to encourage each other and high five, you know, way to go, girls, stuff like that. So there's a lot of camaraderie out here on the roads with other female truckers, which I really love. I really appreciate it. And I love seeing female truckers because there's really, I see more, I think, in the last year than I have probably the year prior to that. So that's a good thing because we need more female truckers. Juggling your time. Juggling your time is super hard because, excuse me, I've been fighting a sinus infection. As I said, you can work up to 14 hours a day, especially if you're an over-the-road truck driver. So it's hard trying to juggle your 10 hours of downtime. You know, you have to try to juggle between if you need to do laundry, if you need to take a shower, if you need to eat, and then you've got to try and get enough rest before your time is up and you have to switch with your partner. So juggling your time is really hard. The other hard part of juggling your time is on the weekends when you're home. You have to juggle making sure you get your laundry done. You have to juggle going out and getting new supplies, you know, getting the car repacked up, and so it's hard. I think that's one of the hardest things is trying to juggle your time. So I am a list maker, so like throughout the week I'll be making a list of, you know, what supplies are we out of, what groceries are we out of, what meal preps am I going to be making throughout the weekend, you know, because without those lists we would be so lost and so disorganized. So that is one of the other things. Let's see. Oh, the other thing is barely knowing what's going on in the world as far as news and politics. We don't listen to the radio, not really. If we do listen to the radio, we're listening to music, and that's just to keep us awake. And yes, we have TV here on the truck. We have a 32-inch TV, but it's hooked up to Hulu and Netflix, so we don't get live TV. The only time we get live TV is on the weekends. So, you know, a lot of times we feel very out of touch with the world, and so we'll, like, talk to friends and family, and they'll be like, oh, did you hear what so-and-so did, or did you hear about, you know, what President Trump said this and what he said that, and, you know, we feel like idiots sometimes because we are so out of touch when it comes to news. You know, that's kind of the last thing we think about when we're out here on the road, so, you know, that's probably something we need to work on, I don't know. Let's see. Skepticism from other men. I think that's a hard one that was a hard one for me for probably the first year. You get a lot of skepticism from men, especially when you pull up to truck stops. They just kind of look at you like, you know, what are you doing behind the truck, you know, wheel of a truck. I get that more so with the older men, the older generation, not so much with the younger guys. With the younger guys, or guys that are my own age, they tend to be very respectful. Like if I walk into a truck stop, there's always somebody opening my door for me. How are you doing? And a lot of times, especially when I'm walking at night at a truck stop, I can tell that there's guys that are always looking out for me, so I appreciate that. But you do get a lot of skepticism. The other issue is you get a lot of sexual harassment. Not gonna lie, that's part of the job. I think the first year I had a very thin skin. I wasn't really prepared for it. I knew that it was gonna happen. I kind of heard stories from other women. But yeah, sexual harassment's a big thing out here. You get it in the rest areas, you get it in the truck stops. I've got it in the FedEx yards. You get comments, you get dirty looks, you get, the sneers. I've had people grab me while I was in truck stops and in rest areas. So, it's not fun. It's not anything I like. We've kind of gotten a system now that I don't go into a truck stop at night anymore without Larry with me because I've had issues. Same thing with rest areas. You got to keep safety as your number one thing. And I'm not saying that all truckers are out here being nasty and being grimy, because I would say 99% of them are very kind. And I do feel like they watch my back, especially because I'm a woman, and they want to check my safety. But there's always that 1%. And then the other thing is, there's a lot of homeless people that hang out at the truck stops and at the rest areas. So I am not saying all truckers are bad, or that they're all sexually harassing women, because that's not true. But as a female, you've got to keep your safety in mind, keep pepper spray with you, or mace, or something to that effect, and just make sure you keep yourself safe. The other thing I would say is that you meet amazing people on the road. That's probably my last one. We have met some really amazing people all over the country, from other truckers to just people on vacations, to people in other FedEx yards. And then the other thing is, if you're going to do over-the-road trucking, one of the most amazing things is you get to see the country. You get to see some amazing things. I remember the very first time that we ever drove out to California. We went to Sacramento. And I had never been through Utah or Wyoming, any of those areas. And so I got to see all these cliffs and mountains, and we got to drive through Salt Lake City. And if any of you are familiar with Salt Lake City and driving through the mountains there, it was crazy. It's absolutely beautiful and breathtaking. And I think my favorite place that I've ever been to so far has been Truckee, California. If you have never been to Truckee, California, it is gorgeous, and I would like to buy a house and live there. It's so pretty. So, that's the best part about trucking, is you get to see the world. You get to see some amazing things. You don't get to do a lot of sightseeing, per se, unless you're allowed to have some downtime and to have a couple of days off. But you do get to see a lot of the world, and you get to meet some pretty amazing people. So it is definitely a fun ride. So thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, marriedtotheroad.com, and don't forget to listen to our podcast. Thanks so much, everybody. See you soon.